All right, guys. I just wanted to go live for a second. I've never actually went live. I usually just record and upload. But I wanted to give you guys a rundown of what's going on with Colorado in terms of putting everything in perspective. A lot of movement has been going on. A lot of the channels that I'm looking at, I'll see, a post that's made, and whenever there's a person leaving Colorado, be it a player or a coach, it's not it's not given the attention or the severity of the change. It's not given the attention that's required. So it's almost like, oh, we're losing a defensive coordinator in Charles Kelly, but hey, Coach Prime's going to get somebody better. And and I understand that it's always good to be optimistic, but we have to be realistic. Remember, we're talking about a coach who just recently came into Colorado, and his job is to incur a rebuild. His job is to bring in a rebuild, and the process of doing a rebuild is taxing. It's not something that's easily done. It's not done overnight, and every move you make has to be strategic from your first year to your second year. And I would argue, and anyone can actually agree with me or disagree with me, whenever you're rebuilding something, the first 2 years are very important. So the people that he brought in, they seem to be all gone. I took some notes earlier on my pad, and I wanted to read to you guys all the coaches that have left. I'm not talking about players. Players leave and go. I know a lot of the times when I give messages and I talk about how players are leaving, people say, "Oh, you're a hater. It happens everywhere. Every program has players that leave." But the reason why I'm very shocked at that, because the initial wave of the support of Coach Prime was so crazy that I could not imagine anybody leaving the program after the first year. I did not imagine that any of the coaches would be leaving. Not one coach, but we've had several coaches leave. Let me read you guys of what the coaches that have left Coach Prime in his first year. I want you guys to get a perspective of how it's not that people are jumping ship, is that people are starting to see what this program is about. I'm going to mince my words and watch what I say, because I'm trying to be better. I don't want to call it a circus. I want to be objective as I can. And I don't want to come across as a hater, but I want us to put things in perspective. Okay. Tight end coach, Tim Brewster, took a job with Charlotte. So the tight end coach, gone. The defensive end coach, Nick Williams, took a role at Syracuse. He's gone. And remember, Nick Williams had a huge part to play in the success of the recruitment in Colorado, because he had a way with those young recruits as well. He was an integral part of that recruiting process. He's gone. He's going to be hard to replace. Offensive coordinator Sean Lewis, he's gone. He takes a job with San Diego State. He's the head coach over there. He's gone. So that's 3 coaches. Then you have Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator. He's gone. He takes a job as a co-defensive coordinator with Auburn, his old alma mater. All right? That's a lot of movement, folks. That's a lot of movement. That's not something that bodes well for success that's coming your way if you are a Colorado fan or if you are a Coach Prime fan. It's okay to be a fan of somebody, but it's also very important to be realistic and putting things in perspective. Whenever you're building a program and you bring in a slew of coaches that are with you, it's important that you keep those coaches at least 3 years. It's okay, people get other positions. But the fact that people are just leaving, going elsewhere, let me tell you something. Charles Kelly, he came from Alabama. He was not the head defensive coordinator at Alabama, but he worked on the defensive side of the ball when he was coaching at Alabama. He's had other jobs elsewhere. He's had other jobs in other places. He comes to Colorado. He's given the reins to the defense, and for 1 year, he has the opportunity to coach the Power 5 conference defense. And after 1 year, he leaves to go to another Power 5 conference school just to be a co-defensive the coordinator, co-defensive coach, a coordinator. I mean, does that make sense? It's sort of a slight demotion. Now, what you see being added in there in the narrative is that, oh, Coach Prime and he agreed upon it. Coach Prime has no say-so in what his coaches do. If his coaches want to leave, they can leave if they have another job elsewhere. He can't force them to stay. He didn't leave Colorado just to go back to his alma mater. He left Colorado because he did not want to be there. You don't come to a program after the first year and leave. There was no success. The job is not done. Think about it. When everybody came on with Coach Prime, there was a mission, there was a vision. We wanted to come, they wanted to dominate. They wanted to dominate in fashion. They wanted the attention. There was not a humble bone in the bone of Coach Prime in the way he went around in promoting his team and his ambition to see them dominate. When you bring a collective group of men together, okay, and you bring them together and you have a vision, how is it that those group of men you bring in the first year, they're already gone? If that doesn't open your eyes to what's going on, then I don't know what will. And it's not just one, it's just one after another. We're not done. There may be other coaches that are leaving. So that's not a good sign to me. And I read an article, he talked about Coach Prime saying that he looks up to Nick Saban, and with Nick Saban, this happens a lot, that coaches leave, but no, not like this. Not after the first year, not with the wave of support you had the first year. They're not even sticking in with you to see this process go through because they don't believe anymore. And it doesn't mean that these men are bad for leaving because they don't believe anymore. It's because they see people will stay where they see success coming. These coaches are leaving to take lesser jobs in better ran programs. Charles Kelly was the defensive coordinator. He leaves to go to Auburn to be a co-defensive coordinator. That's a demotion in a way in terms of title. I don't know how his contract is going to pan out, if he's getting paid more or less, but in terms of the title, that's not a lateral move. That's a sublateral move. It's lateral in terms of the defensive side of the ball, but his position is co. He's working together with somebody that's higher than him. Sean Lewis is the only one that I would say got an upgrade. He went from offensive coordinator to a head coach at San Diego State. And it's not really even an upgrade because he was a head coach at Kent State, I believe, before he came to Colorado. So he's already had head coaching experience. Coaches are leaving, man. And then the replacements that I'm hearing about is that Ed Reed may be the defensive coordinator. He has no experience as a defensive coordinator. He was a defensive backs coach in 2016 with Buffalo Bills. They went 7-9 that year. That's the only coaching experience he has. He did have a short stint in trying to be the coach of Bethune-Cookman University for like 25 days. That didn't work out. It was a whole fiasco with that, and then he ended up not being the coach there. So you're bringing in names, but you're not bringing in guys with experience who actually has actually got the job done. Like, you're bringing in guys that have big names, but who has had the experience of getting the job done? None. Okay, I get it. Ed Reed is a big name. I've even heard people saying that he may try to bring in what's that linebacker name? The linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis may be a potential candidate for the defensive coordinator job. Now, what experience does Ray Lewis have as a coach? So it sounds sexy when you get a big name behind a team, but you need to get people with the brains to actually make sure that the X's and O's work well with the personnel that you have on the football team. Offensive coordinator is still up in the air. There's a lot of positions that need to be filled quickly. And I don't know if this is not probably news to you guys, but Kendrick Breedlove, the defensive back, he also left as well. He hit the transfer portal as well. So he's not only just losing players, he's losing coaches as well. And you guys may look at that and say, well, it's no big deal. Continue to tell yourself that it's not a big deal. Not after 1 year. It's a huge deal. After 1 year, this is unfinished business. You have unfinished business. You left a sour taste in the mouth of the fans that followed you, losing the last 7 of the 8 games that you had on your schedule. The season didn't bode out well the way you thought it should. And then the people that you brought along with you to make sure that this thing is running well, they're leaving. That's not a good sign. And I know Coach Prime knows how to spin things very well. He has the gift of gab. I'm here to elevate people, which brings me to my next point, and I'm going to close here with this. This to me is a writing on the wall. I left a poll on my page asking you guys, what do you think Coach Prime's tenure is going to be with Colorado? And I think I had four options, and most of you guys voted. Most of you guys voted and said that he's not going to finish out his contract, and I don't think he will. The reason why I don't think he will, because the people that he brought in are jumping ship. He's next. He's going to jump ship as well. There's no staying power with Coach Prime. There's no longevity. There's no long haul here. There's no long-term commitment for Colorado. The only reason why he's committed, in my opinion, I don't have any facts to prove this, but the only reason why I believe that he's committed to Colorado is because his son is still the quarterback at Colorado. Once his son is gone, that's it. Once his son is gone, that's it. He has there's no incentive to be committed to the football team. Just like you have the coaches that are leaving, he's next. He's not going to finish out his contract. I find it very, very alarming that in a rebuild, you're bringing a slew of new coaches that are supposed to be with you on this journey. Now, I'm not saying that all the coaches were supposed to stay there till 2027 to finish out the contract. I'm not saying that. We know coaches leave. But after year one, not just one coach, not two, not three, but like four coaches. Important coaches, not just offensive line. Oh, and then the offensive line coach is gone as well because he left with Sean Lewis. That's another coach. That's like six coaches. But when you look at other channels of people that are not being objective, who have a high degree of bias in their content, they paint the picture like all is well. That these people that are leaving, they were never for Coach Prime anyway. Now it's time for us to get the people that are going to be for. No, this is not a good sign at all. And if you think that I'm just talking just to talk, you're going to see the proof in the outcome and the product on the football field. When a new defensive coordinator comes in, the whole playbook has to change based upon the defensive coordinator who comes in, depending on his philosophy. Then you have players who have to relearn the book again, which is why I've always said that the second year of Coach Prime at Colorado is going to be just like his first year again, because everything's all anew. He's going to have to replace a tight end coach, a defensive ends coach, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, the defensive coach, the defensive coordinator. He's got to replace all of that quickly. So Prime can either go two ways with this. He can either do the research and go through a hard vetting process to get the best available hires in those positions that are not there, or he can do it the easy way, just get big names. Get Ocho Cinco in there. Get Warren Sapp in there. Get the Ray Lewises and the Ed Reeds in there. Just make it a show. None of these men have experience. I'm not saying these guys can't coach, but where have you done it to build a name strong enough to be taken seriously as a D1 power conference coach? Like you're just because you're a great player does not necessarily mean that it's going to equate to you being a good coach on the football field. We'll see how this goes, but this is very alarming to me. And I don't think that the trend here is speaking to me. And the trend speaks to me, and it tells me that Coach Prime is not going to be here long, because his subordinates, his understudies are leaving too early. This is too early. Maybe after year two, it wouldn't be a big deal. But after year one, it's very eye-opening to me. It's very eye-opening to me. Because the first year is you're testing it out. The second year is then you get a stronger sense of which direction the football team is going, because you've had 1 year of testing it. Second year, you improve upon the test. Then after the second year, going into the third year, you have a better idea. But the coaches didn't even stay after the first year. They're gone. That is not good. That's not a good sign, folks. That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. I know I want to believe. I want Coach Prime to do well. I want him to dominate. I want him to take over college football. I want him to be the next Nick Saban, or better than Nick Saban. I want him to get all the power, all the top 5-star athletes out of high school. I want him to do well. But what I want and what he's showing me are two different things. What I want is that what I'm being shown is the opposite. Colorado Buffaloes will struggle next year. They will struggle. There's no continuity. There's no camaraderie. Coaches are leaving. It's too much change. It's too much movement. It's too much movement. It's too much movement. They're going to get more attention from the circus acts than what they put on the football field. There are going to be more stories about Colorado of things that are happening off the field than things that are happening on the field. they're gonna get more attention because of their social media, channels than they will based upon the product that they put out there on the field. That's just my opinion, because he can either go two ways: do the hard vetting process of interviewing many, many candidates to see who the best fit is going to be, or get a bunch of big names in there and fill it in and use that as a recruiting tool. But for what? For next year, after Shedor's gone, is Coach Prime still going to care? We'll see. We'll see. So there you go, guys. 6 coaches. Tim Brewster, gone. The tight end coach. Defensive end coach, Nick Williams, gone. Went to Syracuse. Offensive coordinator, Sean Lewis, gone. He also took the offensive line coach with him. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches. Then you have Charles Kelly. He's gone. I mean, if that's normal, then that's not normal. I don't care what anybody says. You can say, oh, well, other coaches, other programs. I'm not talking about other programs. We're talking about Colorado. We're talking about a team that was 1-11 last year. They get a new head coach that comes in with the buzz of Coach Prime. He brings all the attention, all the focus to Colorado. He brings a slew of coaches with him that believe in his vision and mission. And you're trying to tell me in the first year, his whole coaching staff is dismantled? And you guys think that's normal? But you know what? He can play it like it's normal because he said, you guys take his words like it's gospel. I'm here to elevate my men. It's all about elevation. And yes, it is about elevation. And this is why I think after Shedeur leaves, Coach Prime would elevate himself right out of Colorado and go somewhere else to his next venture. He's done. This is not a long-term thing for him at all. You can tell. There's no longevity here. There's no staying power. When you start something, you at least have to have people to stick with you for a significant amount of time. After the first year, kaput, done, jump ship, we're done. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane. So yeah, I want you guys to consider that. All those moves. You tell me how that's a good thing. And tell me I'm hating. I'm not hating. I'm just being realistic. Being realistic. Right now, if all the coaches stayed, they would be working to improve upon the mistakes they had the previous season. But with them being gone, they're starting their new venture with their new teams, building on what they can, working on things they can build for their new programs. All we have here in Colorado is just a bunch of voids, a void space, like a black hole needing to be filled. When are you going to fill those positions? And when you do fill those positions, it's almost like you're starting all over again. That's why I keep saying that. So year 2 is year 1. That's what happens when you work ass backwards. When you do things ass backwards and you lack the bone of humility and you take everything that people say as haters, you want to stay on your high horse. If anybody says anything that's objective, you're hating another black man. I'm not hating anybody. I'm just calling as I see it. I just think that this is strange that so many coaches are leaving him after the first year. They're leaving him. They're not going to put out negative news out there. They're going to keep it in-house. They're leaving him because they no longer believe in him. They didn't come there to coach 1 year and elevate their careers. They came there because they believed in the mission and the vision of Coach Prime. They came there to dominate. They came there to win. They knew it was going to be a slow process. But once they've seen how the way this train moves for Colorado, being driven by the head coach, Coach Prime, once they've saw the things that they've seen, I mean, the writing's on the wall. They're done. Players are leaving. Coaches are leaving. And it's a surprise. I saw one channel, people were surprised that Cormani McClain stayed. They're praising him for his loyalty. Why would you need to praise a player for their loyalty? If he decided to go to Colorado, he shouldn't be praised for doing something that's normal. It's normal for you to stay, especially when you didn't get that much time your freshman year. But the reason why they're praising him for being loyal, because most people know that most players are leaving. And any player that stays, you got to clap for them because they're being loyal. Why? Why is the term loyalty being used? If your program is good and you are the same way on camera, the way you are off camera, if your program is ran fairly, if your program isn't based on selfishness, going back to what Kavosiey Smoke said when he was berated for making a statement that he made, not only him, there was another receiver that came out that echoed those same sentiments about the selfishness that's going on the team. take those things away, then there shouldn't be a problem. But the reason why people are being applauded for staying, for being quote unquote loyal, is because there's a problem in that program. You are applauded for staying. Why? Because it's difficult to stay. It's much easier to leave. Not difficult to stay because Coach Prime is demanding. It's because the program is not all about football. There's a hierarchy that's there. There's a separatism that's there. There's Coach Prime and his beloved, and there's everybody else. And until that gap is bridged, there's always going to be problems. And if you don't believe me, look at the proof in the pudding. Look at all the coaches that are leaving. If that's not a sign, then I don't know what is. All right, thank you guys for listening. I just wanted to give you guys an update on all the moves that are going on in Colorado. All right, thank you guys.